Levels and datums. In this week's video, we're going to learn about levels and datums. First of all, let's take a look at what a level is. If we go to our project browser, we can go to an elevation, in this case the south elevation, by double-clicking, and we can see the levels that are, by default, come with Revit. Level 1 and Level 2. The level is an infinite horizontal plane that not only creates a plan view, but it also gives reference to the elements that you model in your project. Let's take a look at the properties and parameters of the levels. If we click on one of the levels, Level 1, you can see over here in the Properties dialog box or palette the instance parameters that are involved with this level. They include the elevation, a scope box, the name, and if the level is a structural or a building. You can rename the level if you wish just by double-clicking on the level name and typing in a new level name. First floor plan. When you hit enter, it will ask if you would like to rename the corresponding views, and this depends on where you would like to see the first floor plan view named. For instance, if we say yes, we can see that now the plan view that this creates, this level, is now named first floor plan. I'm going to undo that to keep it named level 1. If you go ahead and double click on the in target of level 1, it will actually take you to the floor plan view of level 1. There we are, and you can see that it is highlighted over in the project browser palette. Remember that the floor plan views are created by taking the level and making a horizontal cut 4 feet above that level and looking down. We don't see anything on this floor plan view because we haven't created it. But if we create 4 walls and go back to our elevation view, you can see that the 4 walls are here. Well, you can only see 1 wall, but there are 4. And therefore, if you double click on the level 1 to take you to the floor plan view, we will be looking at something that is cut 4 feet above level 1 and looking down. And we see the 4 walls. Let's take a look at some more of the properties of level 1. Again, if we highlight it and we look over in our properties palette, we discuss the instance parameters. These will only change this one level. Now don't get confused, it's not changing the view, the floor plan view of this level. It's actually just changing what this annotation, this level 1 annotation looks like, or where it's located. If we change the elevation to 2 feet, you can see that it went up 2 feet. Now you can change that elevation by double-clicking on the elevation here and take it back to 0 feet. And you can see how it moves up and down with that. Now, if we have a wall that by definition is constrained by the base at level 1, when we change this level to 2 feet, you can see that the wall went with it. Likewise, if we go back to 0, it goes back down. You can see the power in the level as the reference to elements by seeing how the wall follows that level. We could also highlight all 4 walls, and instead of having them unconnected, we could take the top constraint to level 2. And likewise, if we increase or decrease the dimension of level 2, the wall will go with it. Let's highlight the level 1 again. And now we will go into the type properties. These properties will affect all of the levels that we're looking at. We'll discuss the elevation base at a later time, but we can change the line weight, the color, the symbol, the line pattern or the symbol, and where the symbol is, which end of the level line the symbol is. Let's take a quick look. Let's change the color to red and see what happens. And you can see how it changed both of them to red. Let's take a look at creating levels. I'm going to back up one step so they're back to black the way they come in Revit by default. And if I wanted to create a new level, there are two ways I can do that. And it depends on what I want the level to do. If I want to use it just as a reference, I can highlight that and highlight a level, say level 2, and copy it 10 feet up or whatever. And I've now created a level 3. I can highlight a wall and make the top wall, the top of the wall, go to level 3. Now I just used the one wall, but the point is, when I copied that level, no new floor plan showed up here. Let's back up a little bit, get rid of that level 3, and create a new level 3, by creating a new level instead of copying it. And let's look at the difference. To create the new level 3, we'll go to the Architecture tab, over to the Datum panel, and we can create level. When we select level, Revit will want us to click on the screen, left click, and drag. And you can see that it'll line up with the other levels, and click. When we're done creating it, you can see that this level 3 is blue. When we copy a level, it is black. The difference being the black does not create a new level, and the blue does create a new level. A new floor plan view, I should say. Remember, anything on Revit, in Revit, if it's blue on the screen, you can double click it, and it'll take you to that floor plan. Now we don't see any of the walls because they only went to level 2. Really quickly though, we can change the view range and change the bottom to unlimited, hit OK, and we can see those walls show up. If we go back to elevation, what I did there, we were looking at level 3, remember 4 feet above level 3, and we were looking down. By definition, we were only looking to the bottom of level 3, and I changed the view range to look all the way down, so then we could see the walls. Sometimes you don't want to see all of the levels in your view. For instance, in this case, if our walls only go up to level 2, we might not want to see level 3 and 4 in the view. We could do that by selecting both the level 3 and 4 and right-clicking and going to our Override Graphics and View by Element. And here we could just turn off the visibility and say OK, and it will make those two levels disappear. I'm going to back up so we can see those again. In some views, you might not want to see any of the levels. In this case, instead of selecting them all and individually hiding them, you might type in VG for Visibility Graphics Override. Remember, when you type in VG for Visibility Graphics Override, this is view specific. We can then go to our Annotation tab and find Level, and just uncheck the box, and they will all disappear. I'm going to back up so we can see them again. So keep in mind, if you want to control the visibility, whether they're hidden or visible, or just how they look, if you want to control them all, you type in VG to Visibility Graphics Override, and this will change them all in this view. Remember, Visibility Graphics Override is view specific. If you want to change the if they're visible or not, or how they look individually, then you can select one or more and right-click and override the graphics in the view by element. And here we could change just this one to red, and maybe even change the weight of the line. And you can see how just that one turned red and thick. The last thing we'll take a look at is when you select one of the levels, first is the actual options you have for the way the level looks. One is this checkbox. If you uncheck it, it goes away. And this is at either end of the line. You can check that one or uncheck. And likewise at this end. The other option you have is this 3D, 2D button. If it's 3D and you take the grip here and you move it, it will change all the other levels that are locked to it, but it will also change it in 3 dimensions. If you change it to 2 dimensions and move it, it will be individual. Not only an individual, but it won't extend in 3 dimensions either. If you wanted to go back to 3D, you just take it back to the place that it was, and you can see that it went to 3D. And finally, this little break line, sometimes you might have a level, 2 levels that are very close to each other, and they overlap. If you want to clean up your drawing, you can highlight one of the levels that's overlapping and click this break line right here, and you can see that it breaks the level, and you can drag it up, and by using the 2 grips you can make it look more correct and clean. And that is levels.